friends, welcome back to Jumpstart and welcome back to Let's Find Out About It with Miss Sri. So today we're going to be talking about the book Chameleon's Colors, which you guys might have read with one of your Jumpstart friends this week. So in this book, we can see on this page right here, it says Chameleon was always changing colors, all to match his surroundings. So when Chameleon is on the tree branch, as we can see here, he's brown, right? And then when he's on the leaves, he's green. And when he's on the flowers, he's yellow. So some animals are difficult to spot in the wild because their colors blend in with their surroundings. And friends, this is called camouflaging. So the chameleon is a perfect example of an animal that does camouflaging, because at the examples that we've just pointed out here, you can see that the tree branch is brown, right? And the chameleon is also brown. So this is an example of him blending into his surroundings. So this is an example of camouflaging. And the same can be said about when he is on the leaves, right? So the leaves here are green and chameleon is also green. So that means he's trying to blend in with whatever surrounding he's in. And lastly, you can see that the flowers are yellow, right? And can anyone guess what color the chameleon is? That's right, yellow, right? Because he's camouflaging again. So friends, the chameleon is a perfect example of camouflaging because he blends in with his surroundings. And we can tell by looking at the examples that we've just pointed out in the book. Alright friends, so we talked a little bit about how the chameleon uses camouflage to blend into his surroundings, right? And we see that throughout the book. Now we're going to talk about examples of other animals that use camouflage in order to blend in with their surroundings. So I'm going to show you guys a picture and I'm going to have you guess what animal is trying to blend in with the surroundings or how it's camouflaging. And I want to see if you guys can spot the animal. And then we'll go over it together. Alright, let's start. Hi friends, so this animal is the example that we're going to be looking at first. So I'm going to ask if you guys can see a camouflaged animal in this picture, okay? And like we said before, if an animal is camouflaged, it's going to be hard to find in its surroundings, right? So when the chameleon was camouflaged in the green leaves, he was green, right? So it was really hard to find him. So in this picture, do we see an animal that's camouflaged with its surroundings? Well, let's take a look at this picture. What do we see? That's right, we see snow, right? And what color is the snow? Can anyone tell me? That's right, it's white. So if the animal is going to be camouflaged in its surroundings, that means that the animal probably has to be white, right? Because it's going to be hard to find in the snow. So do we see an example of an animal like that in this picture? Can anyone tell me? You're right, we see a bunny that's camouflaged in this picture, right? And the bunny, what color is the bunny? That's right, it's white, right? So it's white like its surroundings, and that's why it's a little hard to spot. So that means it's camouflaged with its surroundings. And can we notice anything special about the bunny's coat of fur? I know we talked a little bit about fur in rabbits and raindrops, right? About how some animals have fur in order to keep them warm. Do we notice anything different about this animal's fur? That's right, it kind of has a special pattern, right? So you can see that there's a kind of a large dot on the bunny's fur near its tail. And that's the only part that happens to be brown, right? Along with its ears, which are also brown. So if we saw this animal from a distance, it would be kind of hard to tell that there was an animal, right? Because it's all white. But if we got closer and we saw its brown ears and the brown spot, we would be able to tell that, oh, that there's an animal there. But if the animal was all white, then it would be really hard to tell because it would blend in with the snow. So friends, the next example that we're going to be doing is this picture right here, okay? So I'm going to do the same thing like I did before. I want you guys to tell me if you can see an animal in this picture. Alright, let's look at this picture, okay? What do we see? We see something that looks like a tree, right? So what color is the tree? You're right, it's light brown, right? So if there's going to be an animal there, then that means the animal would probably be light brown or brown in order to match its surroundings and camouflage correctly. So do we see an animal like that in this picture? You're right, we do. This animal right here is an example of a butterfly that is blending in with the tree. So my friends, can we see the butterfly now that we looked closer at the picture? We do, right? It's a little hard to see at first because the butterfly is almost the exact same color as the tree. So you really have to look closely and then figure out that, oh, there is an animal there and it's camouflaged, right? And Miss Suri actually circled the spot where the animal is just in case some of you can't see it, because I know it was really hard for me to see at first because the animal is just almost the same color as the tree. And this is one of the special features that helps the butterfly blend into the tree. So each animal has special features according to where it lives in order to make it blend into its surroundings better, right? So certain animals that live in the forest might blend in better with things that are in the forest, like trees or rocks. But if that same animal was in the desert, it would be really, really hard to blend in with the surroundings there, right? Because the desert doesn't have any trees or rocks or any of those things. Alright, so now we're going to go on to our next example. Alright friends, so in this example, we're looking at some leaves, right? So in this case, the leaves are green and they have brown spots. So we know that if an animal was to camouflage in the leaves shown in this picture right here, the animal would probably have to be around the same colors, right? So do we see an animal that follows the same pattern that the leaf has? You're right, we do, right? So the picture on the right, it actually shows a moth. And in this case, the moth itself has green wings and it has brown spots. So I know we said, and we can also see in the picture, that the leaf itself is green and it has brown spots, right? So does the moth, but on its wings, it's green and then it has brown spots spread out all over the wings, which means that it's camouflaging into its surroundings. So in this case, it's going to be really hard to find the moth when you're far away because it's camouflaging. It's green and brown like the leaf itself, right? But if the same moth was to be found in a desert or in the snow like the bunny we looked at before, because of its bright colors, we would be able to see it right away, right? It wouldn't be able to camouflage. Alright, let's go on to our next example. Alright friends, so in this example, we're looking at a picture that shows a tree, right? Can anyone show me? Alright friends, so in this example, we're looking at a picture of a tree, right? Can anyone tell me what the color in this tree is? You're right, it's light brown, right? And in some of the examples that we looked at before, we actually looked at examples that have trees or tree branches, right? So in this case, what color do you think the animal would have to be in order to blend in with the tree, which is light brown? You're right, it would have to be brown, right? So do we see an animal like that in this picture? Yes, good job, friends. You guys are so good at this. Yeah, so we actually see a squirrel in this picture, right? And what color is the squirrel? It's brown, right? And do we see a pattern on its fur? Not really, right? It's just brown all over. I think if you look really closely, there's a small black stripe on its tail, but it's a little not noticeable because the squirrel's kind of far away, right? But it's mostly brown, so it still blends in or camouflages with its surroundings really well. So in this case, since the tree and the squirrel are brown, it's really hard to spot the squirrel when you're far away from a distance because it's really hard to see because it's blending in with its surroundings. Alright, let's go on to our last example. Alright, so this is the last example that I have for you guys today. So in this picture right here, we see an example of a field that is yellow and has some brown in it. So I want to ask you guys if you guys can see an animal in this field that's camouflaged. You're right, we do see an animal, and can anyone tell me what type of animal this is? You're right, it's a cheetah, and how can you tell that it's a cheetah? Exactly, you can tell because the animal has spots all over its fur, right? So it might be a little hard for the cheetah to blend in with its surroundings because it has all the spots over its fur. And different animals have different coverings on their skin, right? So we talked about the iguana before and how it has scales all over its skin and also has the spikes. So even if it camouflages, sometimes you can see the spikes, right? So even for the cheetah, you can see that the field is the same color as its fur, but because of its spots, it might still get seen, right? But even then, the cheetah can still camouflage because even when you're far away, you can't always see the spots on the cheetah's skin because it's camouflaged with the rest of its surroundings. Alright friends, I hope you guys had so much fun learning about camouflaging today and learned a lot about how the chameleon camouflages and also about how different animals camouflage. Alright friends, I hope that you guys all had fun today. So now let's go see what we're going to be learning about in center time.